afternoon and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another round of Rush Race. There's a bit of not Mexico. We are here in the Romagna Grand Prix. Let me go ahead and not get stuck in a time loop. Not Groundhog Day. We are not racing Mexico this time around. It's the final weekend of the entirety of the season. So it is the
I'm doing pretty good, actually. Because ready to commentate my first ever Rush Racing League race, and especially in the wet. Chaos, different tires, different strategies. So I'm ready. So ready.
good racing here. The wet does banner work. So, Team's Legend to hold on to has his life of tough one. Not like to play nice, especially with track limits. Track limits are good. Very famous Imola.
Wait, you want to talk about track limits? Should have saw me in Div 1 and Div 2. 6 seconds of penalty off track limits. So that's something about track limits for you.
Yeah, track limits. I mean, this is a track it's not a track I'm a It's a very tough track. Very old school.
Yeah.
Pick up on arrow, meant for cars, bygone arrow. Don't exactly fit it. Tough to overtake. What might make things but should or to just change back in. Oh, I did silly.
Uh-oh. What's he done?
I'm twice. So going to try to change it again.
Right, so we go through the first lap with TMT Legend on the intermediate tyres in the wet, making sure not to get those track limits through turns 1 and 2. Make sure not to dip those left side tyres off into the grass, otherwise that'll send him into a spin. But otherwise, good through the first couple of corners into this left-right chicane. This is where you're prone to get track limits a bit. This end, the final chicane. Going purple with a 27.653. Looking good for TMT Legend in the Kick Sauber, which I reserved for in Div 1 and not Div 2. But otherwise, looking so good. Make sure to get track limits. Very good. Burning bit of the battery down to 43% battery. Make sure to get that traction out of that corner. Make sure not to get invalidated through this final chicane. He doesn't. Looking good, getting all that speed. He's going to start burning all the battery down into this double apex left-hander. Slamming on the brakes, 19% of battery left. That's plenty for coming to the line. Now he's going to start burning it right about now. There you go. It's going to be to the line for TMT Legend. Provisional sprint pole with a 25.864. Very good. for the first lap on the intermediates, but with track evolution, you're going to see those times dip way below that.
Exactly that. I mean, there's going to be a dry line that appears here, so we'll see. Hopefully this fixes some of the issues. Will try to work on the echo. So I think it might be on your end, Daniel, that we might need to try to work on the echo. But we'll see. We'll try to get things fixed. I have been made aware of some tech issues, so hopefully that sounds a lot better for you guys. So we'll see. Some new stuff here as well as Nicholas Latifi, aka Khaus, does set the provisional time or provisional pole with a 125.327, a good lap time there for the Williams, and we will see if he can go ahead and keep it up. As Uncle Morty still has yet to set a time, he's going to go and make his way through Tamburello and is going to make his way down here. So it should be a good run for him. He's going to go for and try everything he can to jump up. He's been having some pretty good races here in Div5 in the past. He wants to add on to that good results streak he seems to be on here. So Uncle Morty currently just making his way through Sector 1. The track is actually kind of starting to dry up a bit. The rain doesn't seem to be falling as hard, but it's still falling, so definitely not time for slicks just yet.
No, definitely not. But, I mean, never know. Could be a good shout. I mean, the rain is not that heavy, so it'll be a risky move, but it's not out of the picture. Especially with the track drying out as it is now.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just see. Okay, so I think the echo might be on your end. I don't know if I'm coming out through TV or somewhere, but I think that's maybe where the echo is coming from. But in the meantime, while we sort things out, it's gonna be. Actually, I think whatever we changed fixed it. So there we go. That's the beauty of commentating is, especially if you're a new commentator, don't fret about tech issues. They just tend to happen. I mean, we've all been there. We've had tech issues. Even the most experienced of commentators do run into some tech issues. I mean, myself included. Clearly, as I made some mess ups here, just trying to get everything back in. But as we go through, we are going to see some of these times really start dropping in. TMT Legend Championship leader does go ahead and set a new personal best and a new provisional pole time of a 125.024. And there we go. This is going to be a very, very interesting run here. As this track, I mean, qualifying performance is going to be very crucial. Especially because you got two qualifying you got to go through. So Rodkin jumps up to the top of the times here. Another driver who's been on really good form as of late. And that is a 124.876.
The rain has stopped here, as you can see on your pictures. So I reckon we might see a soft run maybe towards the later stages of this qualifying session.
Yeah, and we'll see. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they actually dedicate a set of soft tires here with the last 4 minutes to go for a sprint pole. They may try to save them for the Grand Prix. And when we have a sprint, you get a few extra tires, which does add a little bit of extra strategy to qualifying as we go through. Krojag now. Krojag's in a pretty interesting position when it comes to the championship. So we'll just kind of see how everything does play along as we go through here. It is down to the final 39 minutes of sprint quali. And Krojag, the driver who is currently about P7 or so in the championship, trying to go ahead and close in the gap. Currently the lead Mercedes though, but he is only a handful of points, about 17 points behind Sorokin, the driver currently on pole, so he's going to come back in. And we are about to hit what I like to call rush hour. So when rush hour hits, It is basically the final couple of minutes of qualifying. And then we're going to go ahead and just see every driver really try to push with everything that they got. Uncle Morty jumps to the top of the time tables, though. A 124.082 is now the time to beat. The question is, will everybody bolt on a set of soft tires to take it to the end? I think the answer is on to yes.
I mean, it would be a stupid decision not to bolt on a set of tires with the track drying. But as you can see, everyone now bolting on that red soft tire for one final blast to see if they can grab pole.
Indeed. So we'll just see. It's going to be one final shot, everything on the line, and we'll see. Is there softs? I think I do. Excuse me. I think I see a set of soft tires, and we are going to see how it goes. It's going to be, yeah, Noah's actually on soft, so I think we're going to see everybody jumping onto a set of soft tires. So, could be a good one. And, I mean, it's still going to be a little slick out there. It's not going to be bone dry right off the rip, but to answer your question, Liam, no, I am not sick. I have just been extremely busy late, and my voice hasn't had a whole lot of time to recover. So, stay hydrated, everybody, if you don't want your voice to sound like mine. So yeah, and sometimes the water kind of clears up the system, but he's invalidated on the L app, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But we do, I think everybody, we'll just do something we don't even normally do to qualify. But yeah, everybody is actually, for the most part, everybody who's on track has decided to jump onto that soft tire compound. So we shall see how this qualifying is going to play out. But in the meantime, we have everybody ready and raring to go. Noah is going to be on the first lap, and he's going to go to it temporarily. He does touch a little bit of gravel, so not exactly ideal for a driver trying to set a pole lap here in the sprint. But he's going to have still a good amount of corners left to go. It is a purple sector 1, so we're going to see these times really fall out here as Noah continues to make it through his lap.
I guarantee we're going to see a sub 20. Guarantee. Maybe possibly 18, but we'll see. As we got 10 seconds left of qualifying, so this is the final laps, final blast. Let's see what Noah has got.
Yeah, Noah's going to go ahead and do what he can to get this best lap time in on the books. He's going to make his way down to the line. He's only got the final set of corners. He's going through Ravazza. Uncle Morty, he's done. He won't be doing another lap. Woofa is done. Shining Swarm done. Roby 1 Kenobi is done. The Risen is done. And Noah, now he's going to come to the line. And it is going to be pole position. A 119.732, but a lot of drivers are on that soft compound. So we might see these times really start to trickle down, and we'll see how the rest of it goes. He's going to make it to the line. He's coming through Ravazza for one last time. Dilby is on provisional pole, but is Sorokin going to jump him? The answer is yes, he's going to jump them. A 119. TFT Legend just says, forget about the 19s. I'm on the 18s. A 118.949. What about Krojag? Here in the Mercedes, Khaus jumps up the pole provisionally. Krojak jumps up in the third. But the time set by Khaus is just out of this world. But we'll see if Paulin can make things happen here. And he's going to come down to, let's see. It's going to be P8 for Khaus. So, very good stuff there from everybody as we have your entire grid here. It is going to be Nicholas Latifi, a.k.a. Khaus, followed by TMZ legend Krojag, Sorotkin, Izzy Fizzy, Dilby, Noah, VSC, and then Bobby, Uncle Morty, Woofa, Shining Swarm, Romy 1 Kenobi, and the Risen line up your sprint. So in the meantime though, Daniel, any bold predictions that we have for today?
Bold predictions. Oof. Don't talk to me about predictions. I'm not really good about predicting stuff, but I reckon all the Inters runners didn't go out on the softs. So I don't know if they're saving it for main quali or the sprint. But here's the thing. If you go softs and sprint, 11-lap sprint around Imola where tires are just going to kill you, they're just not going to survive the whole sprint. So, I mean, bit of a bold strategy, but I reckon someone might go softs. Might. Just might.
Yeah, might is that key word, ain't it? When the thing is too is I think it's probably gonna be predominantly mediums here. I could be wrong. Imola isn't exactly known for being a high degradation track compared to some of the other tracks we have visited in weeks past, but it is gonna be fun to see how these drivers really just try to navigate through Imola. It is a very tight track. A lot of the corners are extremely sharp, so I'll be curious to see. Track limits, like you were talking about earlier, track limits are a pretty big thing on this track.
Yeah. In like what 3 corners, you could get a 3 second. That's what happened to me. But we're gonna go lights out racing. I'll hand it over back to you.
All right, it is lights out and away we go here at Imola. And we're already seeing some drivers who really did not get off the line super well. Izzy Fizzy actually dropping way down the order on the start. So not super great there. Seeing a few positions, a bit of a rough start for the Haas's as they make their way through Tamburello. And Sorokin and Noah are going to go ahead and just duke it out for these positions coming through the first couple of corners. We'll see if Noah can really hold on here. We'll take a look at the tires. Everybody is running, and actually a majority of the field has actually went for the hard tire compound, so they probably got a few extra of those in the tank. So it is going to be just 11 laps, so there will be no pit stops unless everybody's got damage or unless the floodgates open at random and rain just absolutely just bashes down onto the track. We have seen it before. Imola is one of those tracks where it can happen. We had rain in the sprint quali for the first half, and then we pretty much just had it did dry up though, so we did go back to dry weather racing. Dilby though, he's going to be a bit of a topic of concern because his connectivity is doing connectivity things again. Khaus is already broken DRS, so that's going to be huge for the driver representing the GOAT. The GOAT's putting on a GOAT level performance here as he goes through Tamburello once again. He really got the best launch he possibly could here. So he's going to continue on. It's going to be TMT Legend under pressure from Krojag as they continue to fight it out here in the opening laps of the Imola sprint race.
Very, very wide Dilby through that corner. That's going to let Noah go around the outside on those beautiful, fresh, hard tires. And that is Noah up to P4, Dilby down to P5 with that very McDonald's-like connectivity.
God, it makes me feel old hearing the old McDonald's internet line being used. That is an age-old line that I love hearing in the big 2026.
I'll drop it more if you want.
Yeah, don't make me feel older than I already am, thanks.
Yeah, but we got TMT Legend running in P2. Krojag 8/10 behind and within that DRS, so he can open that rear wing. If you look behind, Noah does not have DRS to Krojag. That's going to let Dilby go down the inside and up to P4. And Sorokin right on Noah's tail. What will happen going into the DRS zone of this next lap?
Yeah, so we'll just kind of see how it goes. You only get one DRS zone on this track. Unlike its Italian cousin Monza, you only get one singular DRS zone, so you don't really get a lot of time to really utilize that DRS. But in the meantime, it is going to be Sorokin trying to track down Noah Huey, as this is going to be a This is going to be tight coming through Aqua Minerale. And now making their way up to the Grissini chicane. And we'll see. It's really unsensible to make a dive there because that's probably the biggest hotspot for track limit pens is that Grissini chicane. And now they're making their way down to Ravazza. As it is going to be Krojak trying to chase down TMT Legend here. He will get to use that DRS, so we'll see if he's going to be able to just go ahead and just try to chase him down. We'll see. The gap is going to close. He may try to think about it around the outside, coming into Tamburello. Swings around the outside, but he goes too deep. He goes way too deep there. He went for a dive into the pool, ended up in the Mariana Trench.
And he's
around. He is spun around in the gravel trap, and he has just went so far into the deep end that he is just not able to get back up. Unfortunate stuff there for Krojak, but that was a bit optimistic trying to go for a move into Tamburello.
Yeah, like, you don't really see moves going into that first corner there, unless you're basically side by side going into it, or maybe like the tiniest bit ahead. But a bit ambitious, and also after he exited that corner, he lit the rears up, and that sent him into the gravel and around. So that's dropped him all the way down to dead last. But this track is a track limit penalty track where you get heaps of them. So, I mean, Krojak, if he stays clean, might be able to gain a few positions back.
Yeah, and I mean, also, we got to factor in that, I mean, Dilby with his connection, that might have been a bit of a reactionary thing as well. So, it could have been a lag-caused event. Dilby did run off into the gravel at the edge of Ravazza. So, that does tend to happen. We'll see what the stewards decide if he does get the black flag for connectivity's sake or not. He was on the cusp of it at Qatar. He's just going to go straight off into the wall. Another driver as well, so there's two drivers
Big crash.
going off into the wall. That's Woofa, I believe, as well in the wall, I think.
Yes, Woofer with no front wing at all.
Yeah, so it's Woofa and Dilby going into the wall there. Somehow they didn't bring a safety car. And that is rough. That is not ideal, but this could be very sketchy side by side. Side by side through Aqua Minerale. Oh no, another big moment there. That is Krojak and the Risen coming together through Aqua Minerale. And this sprint has already opened a huge can of worms for everybody. We're already back to the older days of like the 1980s era. And Krojak just absolutely just sends it through. 10-second penalty there. That is of absolutely no surprise. As he just does a good amount of lawn mowing. Another 10-second. Woofa in the pits as well. So I think those two are just going to call it here in the sprint. Krojak, I think, just trying to get the most amount of pens. Cutting every corner known to man, speeding in the pits. Yeah, that's going to be his sprint, done and dusted, I'm sure. That's probably going to be retirement. Dilby has been given a black flag. Krojak going to come into the pits and retire. So, rough start here for some drivers here in the sprint. But I can tell you who's not having a rough start here, Daniel, is Nicholas Latifi, a.k.a. Khaus.
He's absolutely gapped the field. He's taken him to Gapplebees, bro. 6.6 seconds. He's practically got it locked in. But meanwhile, we look to P2. It's P2 down to what? P5? P6? So big battle coming to the late stages of this sprint race.
Yeah, exactly that. So the drivers are going to really just try to fight it out here. But, I mean, I think this one is said and done for P1. But everybody else, they got a huge fight ahead of them.
Yeah, and especially with those mediums runners starting to lose a bit of pace, those mediums are going to start to drop off right about now, and those hards are going to come straight in and start to be the more preferred tyre going into the late stages of lap 8 and beyond.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just kind of see how it plays out. But actually, I think it's a bit early for the mediums to really begin their fall off. I mean, it's not going to be. It wouldn't be too much later because right now, if we were in a Grand Prix, then these tires would be absolutely gravy still right now. But with that being said, it's still going to be a very, very tricky run. Sorokin gets overtaken there by Uncle Morty, and that is for P4 on the road. And now it's going to be a run here down into Ravazza's. So this could be a. I mean, Ravazza. Here's the thing about this track, right? We talk about these corners. Ravazza, you know, Tamburello, Grassini, Acqua Minerale. None of those corners are good to overtake in. Like, it is so tough to overtake in literally any of those corners, aside from maybe Tamburello, that turn one there. That's probably the only corner that you can consistently make some really good overtakes on. You also got the little hairpin right there, right at the beginning of Sector 2. That could also be a pretty good hot spot for overtaking, but for the most part, your main overtaking spots are the run into Grassini, and maybe the Ravazzas if you're really brave, but for the most part, it's just that start-finish line where pretty much most of your overtakes are going to happen. Maybe occasionally the run to Acqua Minerale, but yeah, that's the tricky thing about this track. It's just not easy to overtake.
Yeah, that's the thing. The track is so confined, barely any room for overtaking, except the corners you just said. But mostly it's just a DRS train, like Monza.
Yeah, the DRS train is it's a pretty big potent issue here, but for the most part, drivers can still follow through pretty closely without really running into too much of that dirty air. But it is the final 3 laps of the sprint race here at Imola. But don't worry, it's not the end of the action yet. We still have a lot of racing left to go, and we are going to be absolutely having a fantastic time here as the drivers go ahead and try to finish off the rest of this sprint race. And right now it is Nicholas Latifi ahead of Noah Huni, ahead of TMT Legend, your top 3 at the moment. But everybody is pretty well spread out. The only close ones here is Uncle Morty, actually, correction, TMT Legend to Noah. That's going to be the closest fight on track. Aside from a bit further back, we have Romy 1 Kenobi trying to chase down Shining Swarm. But there are penalties involved, and that's actually Bobby spinning out or having at least a moment. He has lost a good part of his front wing here on the track. And now as they make their way through Ravazza, we're going to go ahead and just see how these drivers go ahead and navigate. And this will be TMT Legend going ahead and still trying to chase down Noah. But, I mean, that is such a big gap that you got to try to make up here in such a small time. And he's going to close in the gap. Easy on the brakes coming into Tamburello. Very nicely well done here through the first sector. It can be so easy to overcook your braking points on this track. And track limits are also going to be a huge factor. There's currently 2 drivers with pens at the moment. But TMT Legend is going to go ahead and try. Bobby now gets a 3-second time penalty for track limit violations. So that's going to be an additional penalty there. So we're going to go ahead and get ready for the final lap of the sprint race here. As Uncle Morty is really caught up to TMT. TMT making quite a few mistakes here, coming through this final stage of the sprint race. And you know what, Daniel? Since it is your first time here, I'm going to go ahead and let you take away the final lap of the sprint race. Over to you.
Oh, the privilege is mine. I shall take that final lap as TMT Legend is in that DRS of Noah, looking to try and gain on him. DRS wide open. He didn't get it. He didn't get it that lap. I'm shocked. That says 7/10. He should be in DRS, but it did not give it to him. as we move on, still trying again without DRS, even though he should have. But he has got Uncle Morty for company behind him. As we look further back, Issy Fizzy and Shirokin looking a bit close. We'll keep an eye on that. So we continue on with the top three. Bit of a wiggle from TMT Legend as Uncle Morty looks at it but backs out of it. It's an Alpine sandwich that Sauber is in. So I don't know if they're going to work together here, try and get a double podium. But it's starting to look certainly not. But you see, he's round! Noah goes round! And that's going to let TMT Legend absolutely gain. But you know he's not going to let that go kindly. Side by side into the chicane. You don't overtake here, boys.
Oh,
Are they going to make it work? No. They're not going to make it work. As we focus on our leader, it's been an absolute domination for Khaus or Nicholas Latifi. He comes across the line as he is now. Nicholas Latifi is going to get the job done here at Imola. And as TMT Legend comes around the final bend, he's going to get P2 from a mistake from Noah. Uncle Morty jumps his teammate. Then Noah, who made a mistake to that part. Then Issy Fizzy P5. Sorokin, Paulini. And then Shining Swarm. Roll me one Kenobi with that 3-second penalty. But thank goodness he's got a 10-second gap to the Risen. And then Bobby coming home, P11, and then Woofer, P12. Pretty calm sprint race. Nothing really going on except that big crash and then that spin from Noah. But otherwise, pretty calm.
We also did have the humongous moment of connectivity-based shenanigans, and also Crowjag decided to take up a bit of rally racing here. So that's definitely gonna be under investigation from the stewards, I am sure. Just absolutely rally crossing it through. But we do have the results of our sprint race, and they are as follows. Nicholas Latifi gets the race win here in the sprint, followed by TMT Legend, Uncle Morty, Noah Huni, Izzy Fizzy, Sorokin, Paul and Hell, Shining Swarm, Romeo and Kenobi, The Risen, Bobby, Woofa, and then our retirement of Crowjag and Dilby rounding out the field. So we already have all the recipes for a very dramatic event coming up, but I think it should be a good time here. We already got a taste of the chaos that we can expect here at Imola, but yeah, overall, in the meantime, Daniel, go ahead and talk to us a little bit about your feelings on that sprint race.
Pretty calm, except the last, 3 laps? That mistake from Noah really costed him P2. He dropped down to P4, I think. I've already forgot. But very big mistake from him. My thoughts were pretty calm, very good racing for the first time watching it from the comms box here. But overall, pretty good, pretty calm. No major issues, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how the Grand Prix shakes out. It's a longer run at the Grand Prix, and it is a bright blue sunny sky here at Imola. So it should be. We shouldn't see the intermediates at all unless somebody does a Jetta from last season in Div 6. I forget which driver it was, but there was a Ferrari driver during the season opener.
There was a Div 6?
Yes, back in the olden days.
There was a 6th Div?
There was, yeah. Now that division kind of merged into Div 5.
Wow.
A little bit of Rush racing history from Uncle Rekus here.
Wow, I actually did not know that. Good story, I like that. Gonna have to tell me more as this qualifying session rolls on.
Yeah, so just to finish off the rest of that story, so there was a Ferrari driver. I forget who it was. I could not remember who it is for the life of me, but it was a perfectly bone dry track. And this was back last season when we had a 100% race at Saudi as the season opener, which in itself was a really fun time. But in that time, a Ferrari driver decided that it would be a perfect time on a bone dry Jetta to jump on a set of full wets, which
Oh no.
I know 100% that was a misclick and that wasn't actually the intended consequence. But
Oh no. That ain't good.
welcome to sim racing.
Oh dear. Jumped to the full wets on a bone dry Saudi Arabia track. That's a recipe for disaster right there.
All right, we do have an onboard request for Dilby when he does get flying on one of his laps. And actually, I'm going to give you another first here. I'm going to go ahead and let you take away this lap with Crow Drag. Over to you.
Right, as he turns on that DRS, burning that battery, coming close to that wall, almost tapping it, making sure not to hit that wall that juts out. And he doesn't, burning that battery down to 51%, making sure not to get track limits, dips the tires on the grass a bit there. Overall, pretty good through the first couple of corners, burning the battery down. Making sure not to dip those left tires on the grass, which I've done a couple times, which spun me around and into the gravel. But overall, pretty good from Crow's Jag, as he's got a bit of a Sauber in the way of TMT Legend, was it, maybe? Could have been Bobby as well. Actually, no, Bobby's in the pits. Couldn't have been him. But as we continue on now, bit of a lock-up on that right front. That's going to give him a massive vibration. Not give him the full performance. Second sector time of 50.233. Looking pretty good for Crow Jag, who unfortunately suffered a DNF in the sprint race after a early race collision. But it could have been with Dilby's connection being absolute Macca's Wi-Fi. But make sure not to get track limits out of that final corner, which I did sometimes as well. But in that battery, and it's going to be a 15.676. And I'm not going to give you the joke of the 6.7, but it is a 6.7. But overall, pretty good from Crow's Jag.
I was going to say, somebody in chat was probably already going to hit the 6.7. Trust me, when you work at a go-kart track where juniors are like a very prevalent force, like there's a lot of juniors, especially during like your spring and summer breaks. There's a lot of kids that will ask for cart 67 for that particular reason. Fortunately for me, my facility, the place I work at, does not have a number 67. Although
Lucky you. Lucky you.
Lucky me indeed. I know sometimes some of these cars can have, I've seen a few cars with the number 67 on it. It's one of the V carbs, I think in I want to say it was in Div 1 that I think has number 67 on it. But we won't dwell on the funny number too much as we continue to get rolling here, as there is a bit of an off. That is going to be Sorokin off at Aqua Minerale. Just waiting for a... He was just waiting for a good chance to get back on track, so he does not have the unsafe rejoin. But yeah, I mean, he's also probably holding out for a hero, but I think his teammate has definitely done a pretty good job of that in the sprint. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and jump onto an onboard lap with Dilby as to fulfill the request here. So here we go. Dilby is about to begin his next lap as he is going to go ahead and make his way across the line. He'll begin his first lap here as he runs down the start-finish line, making his way into Tamburello. Gonna go very nicely over the chicanes using just enough curbing. He will go ahead and pass the Aston Martin. Oh, but he's already invalidated in the first couple of laps. So that's going to be his lap pretty much done and dusted. We'll stick with him for a little bit longer. But, okay, yeah, he's definitely done with that lap. So, next lap we'll try it with him again. I don't want to officially fully count that as the onboard lap because it was a bit of invalidated. So we'll give him another one. So for the fantastic Twitch viewer that redeemed the onboard, you will get another one if he does go for another lap. And it looks like he might actually just go for one here. So he's already harvested pretty much everything that he can. He's at full battery, so we might just go ahead and jump on board for take 2. Alright, so it is going to be take 2 of the onboard lap. It is going to be lights, camera, and action as we go ahead and begin the next lap here. He's going to try this again. And he's going to go ahead and just go deep into Tamburello. Nicely done. Nice on the brakes. And he's going to go ahead and try to keep it within the white lines this time. He did invalidate last time around right at this particular section. He does a better job of not doing it this time. 24.016 is going to be the sector time that he sets. Not quite purple, but he is still setting some pretty solid lap times. A time better than I could set, let's be honest here. As he goes through. Now here's another part it can be tricky to navigate without validating. It is Aqua Minerale. Looks like he had a bit of a slide there coming through. Now he's going to make his way to my absolute least favorite part of this track, the Grissini chicane. He handles it very nicely. Purple there though, so it's already looking pretty strong here from Dilby. And just kind of pre-race, we were chatting with him, and he was kind of saying where he was setting some really good times all week, but so far he wasn't able to replicate anything today. He's going to really use the runoff, and a 1:15.527 is now the time to beat. Dilby getting a very good lap there. That's what happens when you just put everything together. All the puzzle pieces fitting in to create a beautiful picture, which is that 1:15.527. What a lap from the Red Bull.
And here's some of the things you're going to see. With sprint qualifying, you only get a certain amount of tires. And after the sprint, you only get, from what I've been racing in, you get 2 sets of soft and a hard if you select it. So you're going to see people do 2-3 laps on this one set of softs, as we have risen off the track here at Aqua Minerale. But overall, you're going to see people see 3 laps on one set of softs, which could work if you do a push-cool push, but don't ask me. I don't normally do that. I normally go full push.
I mean, yeah, it's different strategies for different people in qualifying work differently. Although I think they actually do get a third set of soft tires because I know normally with the regular 3-stage quality, there is that one extra soft tire that's kind of locked essentially until you get to Q3. It's only one qualifying session here, so there's no 3-stage quality. It may say Q1, but it's pretty much Q1 of 1. So I think they will get that extra third soft tire off the rip. So it'll be interesting to see how they put that tire to good use, or if they even use it. I think Paulin actually used it in the... Oh, no, sorry, Wufa used a soft tire in the sprint after he goes ahead and gets the... He got his front wing surgically removed after that collision. But, yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, so tires are an interesting factor when it comes to Formula 1, right? And so it is actually 2 sets per sprint. It's been a minute since I've actually done a sprint weekend in any format. We're going to see Risen just come down, and we're going to see if he can rise through the ranks as he comes through Tamburello. Do you think anyone has accidentally called the Risen the Rizzler at any point? I feel like somebody should have by now.
Yeah, I reckon some of the people have called it the Risen the Rizzler. But, I mean, has he done that on purpose? Has he done that by accident? But I reckon some people have, yes, said he is the Rizzler. But at the moment, he's not the Rizzler. He's the slower with a 17.3, slowest overall at the moment.
You will join me in the pun territory at some point, Daniel. I can just feel it. You're right on the cusp of greatness when it comes to throwing out the most awful puns in the existence of man. But you'll get there at some point.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
For those of you who've been around Rush for a bit, I'm sure you guys are well aware of my affinity of throwing out some of the most diabolical puns known to man. And don't worry, my infection of puns is going to continue to spread. As now we're seeing times kind of just spread across the board. As a few drivers are still out on laps right now trying to set in some good times. Dilby, Crowdrag, against Sorokin on some pretty good laps as of right now. The front two are going to jump into the pits. And I think this is a cooldown lap for Sorokin. Although Sorokin's actually pushing, so Sorokin's going to push his way through. Going to be a tough series of corners for him as he makes his way to the Aqua Minerale sector of the racing track. And he is just going to burn what he can. He's going to harvest here through some of the lower speed sections. And nope, I think he actually short shifted. So I think he's going to, I think he, yeah.
No, he went wide. He went wide at Aqua Minerale. I was watching as well, and he went extremely wide, going up the hill. He missed the apex massively and went wide and decided to abort that lap. I won't be shocked if you see him come back into the pit lane and bolt that fresh set of soft tires on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised either. He might try to wait it out and maybe see if he can, maybe wait to see when traffic kind of kicks off. It is going to be a bit of a different case because there's only 14 drivers here in this race today. It is an unfortunately small number, but it's still enough where traffic can really be a factor, especially when it comes to traffic on this track. I mean, it's an air track, tough to pass anyway. And as a good friend of mine would say, traffic giveth and traffic can taketh away. Usually a sentiment used for multi-class racing, which Imola is pretty well known for. The World Endurance Championship actually starts up, I think, some point this month around this track. For those of you who do like World Endurance, so let us know what teams or manufacturers you're gonna be cheering for in the comments. I am gonna be a Genesis fanboy this season because I drive a Hyundai.
Oh, you're Genesis? Oh no, me and you are gonna have a clashing because I'm a hypercar Porsche fan. What's his name? Matty Campbell, I think. Matt Campbell?
Well, at least we're actually.
Or does he? No, he drives a Porsche.
At least we're actually still.
What's his name? I do watch WEC time for time. The main races which I watch is the 24 hours of Le Mans, which I leave overnight. I fall asleep to it and then wake up the next day, see what's going on. But I do follow it. I'm a hypercar Porsche fan. But in the LM GT3, I follow Gorello, the Porsche 911, I think. So I follow them.
I believe they're a team that also competes in what you call it. I think they also compete in DTM. But here we go. It is going to be Paulin going to go ahead and give it a go here. It is rush hour, so not a lot of drivers have actually exited the pits yet. So Paulin is going to go ahead and try to give it a go here. He rides a bit of that curb, but we'll just kind of see how he manages through Aqua Minerale. And he's going to give it a go. He does have a teammate right behind, so he can actually give a pretty good tow to his teammate, not too far behind. A lot of drivers are still in the pits. I figured more drivers would be trying to get the outlap in at this stage, which, oh, there we go. There's the rush hour traffic that I am used to. So here we go. We're going to jump on board with some other drivers. We're going to just try to kind of hot swap between all the drivers who are going to be on a hot lap. As Paulin's going to come to the line, and he'll jump up into 8th at the moment. Jumping on board now is a driver currently sitting at P3, who is currently up a 10th, according to our timing info, and that is going to be Sorokin. I think that would actually put him just right out of the distance of provisional pole. We'll see. He's going to burn every ounce of battery to the line. It is provisional pole by 21 hundredths of a second. A 1:15.506. That is going to be the time to beat. Can Woofa be the one to beat that time? He is harvesting batteries. Burned up actually a ton of battery in the... Okay, no, he's actually... I think he's on a cooldown lap. Yeah, he's on a cooldown lap, so he's going to try to recharge and then push again later. We're going to jump up over the Risen. He'll be the next one, I believe. So, yeah, he's really burning it down here, coming through Sector 1. So we'll see if he can go ahead and try to jump right up into the midfield. So this is going to be a very interesting run for the Risen. Going to try to riz his way up into the top of the midfield. There is a yellow flag, though. One of the houses went deep into the Ravazza corners. Risen hooks it up through the Aqua Minerale sector. He is up by 310, so he will jump up. Actually, he won't jump up at any positions. He is just about 4 tenths back from Bobby. So he's going to try, but it's going to be very tough here. He's going to come to the final couple of corners. Roll Me One Kenobi will not set a lap time. That will be under investigation by the stewards, as that is kind of a big no-no here at Rush. And then it's going to be Risen across the line. He does improve his time, but not his position. But now we're going to jump on board with Khaus, and we'll see if he can jump in the pole here.
I do have a reasoning why Roll Me One Kenobi did not set a lap time, as Dilby goes pole with a 15.0. He said in the Twitch chat here his child threw up all over the floor, so he had to go clean that mess up. Pray for him and his child. But that's the reason why Roll Me One Kenobi did not set a representative lap time, as I reckon this might be it. TMT Legend to the line, P4 with a 15.4. Can anybody else set a good lap time? Izzy Fizzy is 5 tenths up almost. Comes home P7. And what about Woofer? No. But that is qualifying over main qualifying. And I believe that's still be on pole. So well done to him.
Yeah, so with that being noted there, I do wish the best for Roll Me One Kenobi. Actually now with that information, I don't think he will be under investigation. He'll probably just get off of that one. Hopefully everything does go alright, as now we go through the rest of our field. It is going to be Dilby on top, Kojak, Nicholas, Khaus, Latifi, and then his TMT legend, Uncle Morty, Sorokin, Izzy Fizzy, Noah, VSC, Woofa, Shining Swarm, Bobby, and The Risen round out our field with Roll Me One Kenobi having personal matters to attend to. Hopefully we will see him back but in the next round. So, it's unfortunate, but it's one of those things in life that, when you have kids, sometimes kids do kid things. I haven't at that stage of Unky yet. Probably in the next couple of years, I will be experiencing the same thing, and I probably will go to Roll Me One Kenobi or somebody who actually does have experience in that field with some advice. But in the meantime, I'm not quite there yet, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get ready for, I believe it's 36 laps around Imola. So, yeah, should be a fun time here.
A lot of laps. That's a lot of laps. That's going to really benefit the strategy and see what tyres people go on. I reckon most of the field will be on the white hard tyres. I don't think we're going to see any medium starters, unfortunately, but we'll see.
I reckon that we'll see like everybody on a set of soft tires. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, nobody. There may be one oddball who does run
Bold
the soft
strategy.
tires. There might be
Bold strategy there.
There might be one oddball that runs that time. But here we go. We see those 5 red lights on the gantry. And it is lights out and away we go here. Majority of the field starting on the medium compound tires as we make our way down into Tamburello. We see Romeo 1 Kenobi getting a little squirrely there on the exit. A bit of drama here as Paulin, he does lose some positions. A few drivers losing a few positions here and now. And also, that is unfortunate for those of you who have not subscribed with Twitch Prime yet, because right at the race start, you got to add. And I don't know if it's the same for you guys. I'm sure you guys all get different ads, but I know a lot of people would love to be watching the fantastic race start that we had here, but instead we're getting State Farm. So RIP Twitch for having good ad timing as per usual. Bit of drama here in the back though. It is going to be the Risen fighting with Romeo 1 Kenobi. Trying to find anything here, trying to find any kind of gap that he can make a move in. As Dilby has started to check out a bit here ahead of Khaus, who's actually moved up into P3 in the opening stages. So we'll see how it goes. TMT though trying to catch back up. DRS will have just now been enabled. So, and Sorokin 10 second time penalty for speeding in the pits. I don't remember. Oh, he must have damage though. That's why he's coming into the pits. Yes.
From what I saw from the race start, Sorokin made contact with what seemed to be an Alpine, I think. But that's why Sorokin is peeling into the pit lane and swapping his front wing. He collided with a car on the first lap.
Those first lap collisions are kind of a nuisance here. As we're going to jump from one Williams to another. And when the next lap goes live, we will be on board with our sprint winner here. But in the meantime, Uncle Morty is really trying to close in that gap. He's going to try to do what he can. He's going to gain up a lot of ground through Grassini. And is he going to make a move coming into Ravazza? That's going to be, yeah, he's got the move already done, dusted, and delivered. As now we hop on board with our sprint race winner, our GOAT, Nicholas Latifi, the Canadian driver. I'm kidding, it's Khaus. Khaus is a fun guy. I love commentating with him. And we're going to see how he does on this lap, make his way down into Tamburello. And he's going to go ahead and just try to chase down the Red Bull up ahead. We know he's got some pretty serious pace right here, as Noah has been DC'd from the session, so...
I'll get onto that.
Good man. He's already learning, everybody. Something I actually didn't really learn super well on my first time in Rush, so he's already a step ahead of me. So, Daniel's already making very good impressions here. Back to the lap that we're on board with. Khaus is going to try. He's gained a little bit of time on to Dilby here, but this is a tough track. So, I mean, you're more likely to get a position off of Pens versus raw pace. But we know that Khaus does have a really good pace. I mean, we saw it in the sprint. He was able to build up a 7-second gap in an 11-lap sprint race. And I did misspeak, is 32 laps, not 36. So, about 4 laps less. The Risen will be the first one to get a track limit time penalty, as Sorokin's penalty is the one for speeding in the pits. And that is going to be the lap done and dusted for one Khaus, as he's going to continue on. But TMT Legend, though, think about a move into Tamburello against Uncle Morty. Uncle Morty's going to be braver on the brakes, and that is a beautiful retake from the Alpine.
Yeah, if you give me another, 2 seconds, I'm trying to get Noah back in. He has asked for another invite. I've delivered. What have I missed? The Risen has already got a penalty. Lap 4, not very good.
Yeah, track limits. I mean, we talked about it ad nauseum earlier on, just how much track limits are going to be a bit of an issue, as we have been able to get Noah back into the session, so he should be able to retake control of his Alpine, because we know the AI stands for artificial intelligence, like pretty much everybody here knows, but the AI in this game kind of misses out on that intelligence part, and it just kind of drives artificially. Doesn't really make it likes to make really weird pit calls. I've noticed. It makes these Chat
Yeah,
GPT
I've
pit
left
calls.
it.
So yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I still remember where the AI will do some crazy things like it'll pit in for a set of soft tires on like lap 7, even though you've only done 5 laps on a set of mediums as Uncle Morty gets really close to contact with TMT there and almost gets tagged by Crowjag as Paulin gets past Shining Swarm into Tamburello. So Tamburello is, I mean, it's been a hot spot in recent times. I mean, the 2025 Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, we saw a good amount of overtaking in that Tamburello corner, particularly by a Red Bull, a little known Red Bull driver named Max Verstappen made a pretty good overtake into Tamburello a year or two ago at this exact circuit. So it is pretty, that's probably the best of the big name corners to really try to get a good overtake at. Although we've seen some moves going into Ravazza after the exit of the Gracini chicane. So we'll probably see that area as a bit of a hot spot as well. But yeah, Noah will need another invite so we can get it back in. I think the AI has actually pitted him. Yeah, it did.
It has. It did. It pitted for him. That's dropped him way to the rear and potentially a lap down. And he's just joined just then. So let's hope he stays in and manages to get control before Dilby catches up and laps him. We're going to keep an eye on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, a 2-stop for this race isn't exactly unheard of. There may be a couple of drivers going for the 1-stop, but I think the 2-stop is kind of the go-to here for Imola. But I don't think you want to take your first stop that early. It's a bit early on lap 6. Or I think you actually took it at the end of lap 5, so about. But still, way too early. Even on a set of softs, you can make a set of softs last until lap 17. I'm kidding, not even close. If you can, first of all, get on a team because your tire management is insane if you can get a set of softs to 17. But I mean, even for softs, you could probably get them to at least about lap 8, maybe 8 or 9. I don't know. I don't really drive Imola that often, so
lap 10 at best. Lap 10 at best, I reckon. So not very long for the soft tires, but if you nurse him till lap 10 at best, we might be able to get a beneficiary of the undercut as we see Crowjag try to look for the move on Uncle Morty. Not going on there, as we got a bit of a DRS train forming with TMT legend Uncle Morty and Crowjag back there in P5. But don't suss out Issy Fizzy, bro. He's sitting there in P6, waiting for these 3 to mess up, and he's gonna clean up the scraps. So don't count out Issy Fizzy just yet.
Yeah, Issy Fizzy is. I mean, he's had a pretty solid debut here in Rush. Joined in earlier this season, mid-season in. Oh, hang on, we got a tangle here. I believe it was involving Risen and Roll Me One Kenobi, who's had a pretty good recovery drive after not partaking in qualifying earlier due to personal circumstances. Is already up at the P11. So, granted, about 7 seconds off of the top 10. But with the Rush Racing point system, as long as you finish this race, you will get points. Because if I am not mistaken, and I always get things wrong when it comes to the point system, but in Rush, it goes down to the top 15 as long as you finish the race. So points down to the top 15. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if he can hold on to that. I mean, he's going to score points as long as he crosses that finish line when the checker flag waves. So if he can manage to do that, that'll be absolutely lovely. In the meantime, we are just about a quarter of the way through. We would be just about to enter the second quarter if this was American football. But in the meantime, Uncle Morty is going to try to chase down those yards to try to get that P3 position. Has a bit of a slide though through Aqua Minerale. It's been a pretty, I mean, a few contact bits here and there, and then obviously Noah getting F125 essentially, but for the most part, a pretty calm race here, Daniel.
Yeah, nothing really going on at the moment. Starting lap 9 of 32, still a long way to go. But the million-dollar question is, who will pull the trigger first? TMT Legend, as I say, comes into the pit lane, pulls the trigger first, looking for the undercut on Nicholas Latifi and potentially Dilby if he has a fantastic outlap. But TMT Legend, the first one to respond, what tyres will he be going for? Looks like the white striped hard tyres. He's gonna look to come out in front of what seems to be Sorotkin down there in P13. And with a big margin as well. But here comes Sorotkin, as you can see on your screen. Very far distance, but for Sorotkin slots in behind him. But here's the thing, TMT Legend, cold hard tyres. Sorotkin, warm mediums. So don't suss out Sorotkin getting TMT Legend as of yet.
Yeah, just as we kind of take a look at the tires here at the moment. So Sorotkin, it's been a tough one here for the Williams driver. I mean, he had a pretty decent sprint, but in the Grand Prix it's just been tough. And have the two Haas's collided? Is that what I'm seeing here? Maybe?
No, it was one of the Astons. One of the Astons might have gone wide. Gravel all over the tyres. I reckon he went wide at the chicane. I reckon we're going to see Woofer battle his teammate here. If I was you guys, don't click away. You're going to see the both Astons battle out. But if you judge out the Astons in real life, you would have saw no vibrations would have been too bad. But let's hope those vibrations doesn't get to him.
That would be like if somehow the 2026 AMR, the 2026 AMR 26 vibrations possessed the virtual AMR 25, then you probably need an exorcist on that car, because that should not be happening by any stretch. Although considering
No, it should
Div5,
not be.
paranormal activity in Div5 probably wouldn't be the weirdest thing to happen in Div5 if we had some kind of paranormal activity. Even though it is April, it's not quite October yet. Actually, quite a ways away from October. But in the meantime, yeah, welcome to Div5, everybody, where paranormal activity wouldn't be the weirdest thing we have seen on the day so far. As Kojak now comes into pits, likely as a response to TMZ Legend pitting in a bit early.
Yes, as you see, Kojak bolt on those hard compounded tyres. But here's the question, where's TMT? There he is coming around the final corner. Where's Kojak? Kojak is just coming to pit exit now. Will TMT get the undercut on Kojak? Answer is definitely so. With a big margin as well. As you see, the Risen and Sorotkin jump him as well. So he's going to have to battle both Sorotkin and the Risen to get back up to TMT Legend.
Which on most parts of this track is a task much easier said than done. So he's going to have to really try to work for it here and try to do what he can to really try to just cut through this field like a hot knife through butter. That's exactly what he needs to be if Kojak wants any shot of getting this victory over the line. TMT is up into P8, and we're already seeing a move going around the outside into Aqua Minerale. That's a new one for Kojak, but he's going to get that move done and makes it look easy. Making it through. Makes me want to try that the next time I race at Imola. But it is going to be very interesting stuff as Arisa gets another time penalty. I think he just cut the inside of the Cassini chicane a bit too much. Grisini is probably the worst spot on this track for track limits, honestly. Because you touch that curb a breath too deep, and you're gonna get penned. So, taking a look now just at the gaps, everybody is pretty much very well spreading out, and Pollen is gonna try to close in the gap to his teammate, and the two Astons could start working together. Let's take a look at some positional changes here, as there's another one between Bobby and the Risen, as the Risen has come into the pits. So right now it is the driver who's moved the most positions is the lead Aston Martin right now in Woofa. He is currently up 5 positions. Some other drivers have moved up quite a bit. Shining Swarm has moved up quite a bit. Izzy Fizzy and the other Aston Martin, Apollon, have actually moved up quite a bit. As an Alpine has just gone.
There's a car off. There's an Alpine off.
Yep, that is the Alpine.
It's Noah.
Yep, that's Noah.
I'm wondering if he dipped those left tires on the grass and that spun him right into Romeo and Konobi's AI. As you see, the top 4 come in to the pits to try and cover off TMT Legend. Where's TMT Legend? Coming onto the main straight now. Where's Dilby? Dilby's coming to pit exit now. Will TMT Legend get the undercut? Definitely a big yes. The beneficiary of the undercut goes in the way of TMT Legend. So it's going to be TMT Legend in the provisional P1 with both Astons yet to stop. Both Astons running a bit long. Trying to hope for a safety car maybe, as Nicholas Latifi gets a 3-second penalty for track limits. That's gonna ruin his race a bit. But both the Astons could play beneficiary into this battle for P1.
Oh, they 100% could. They both can really just try to fight for all these positions and try to get everything done. But in that meantime, still got a good amount of racing left to go. Still well over half of the race still to battle through, as Nicholas Latifi gets a penalty pretty early on. And that's not going to help his cause, really, if he wanted to try to go back-to-back and try to get a win in the sprint and the Grand Prix. It is the last sprint weekend of the season here at Rush, so there's one more 100% Grand Prix, and then it's pretty much business as usual for the rest of the calendar, as we do see Dilby now trying to chase down TMT Legend. He is on fresher tires by about 4 laps, so this will come into effect. And I'm sure that's going to play at least a partial role when it comes to just the battles here on track. We're going to ride on board with Dilby for a little bit. As next round, we go to Azerbaijan next time around. So the next time you see us here in Div5, we will be in the Land of Fire at Baku, at probably one of the neatest circuits on the calendar. I do enjoy me some Baku. It's a really fun. It's an upgrade of Monaco, really, is what it is. It's a Monaco that you can actually overtake on. Really beautiful scenic-wise as well. So for those of you who may not understand all the fast car turns, but you guys do love picturesque beauty, then Baku will be a good track for that. And then we head to the Great North, as Uncle Morty does get a penalty. We head to the Great North of Canada, and then we go to our final special weekend of the season. It is the 100% race in Belgium. Nicholas Latifi does get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Dilby does get the move done on the TMT Legend. Woofa there. Though here's the thing, trying to get past Woofa is going to probably bunch up this field.
Like I said, one of the Astons could be a beneficiary in this P1 battle, and it's going to be the Aston Martin of Woofa. He's going to try and hold up Dilby to see if TMT or Khaus, or Nicholas Latifi in this case, can get him, as you see Woofa backing him up to a point where they're on top of each other. But let's see what goes on into Aqua Minerale. Looks clean. Everything's clean at the moment. No chaos as of yet, but you see Dilby trying to go around the outside into the final chicane. Boys, like I said in the sprint, you don't overtake. But Wolfer, good strategy there, backs out of it. We saw that in the sprint. Pretty sure with Crowjack had a straight line. Nothing you can do there. That's gonna still be retaining P1, but let's see if TMT Legend or Khaus can get past him with the beneficiary of the DRS, or does he peel into the pit lane? He says, nope, I'm going to peel into the pit lane, and gives TMT Legend the DRS and Khaus the DRS as well. So they're pretty equalized going into turn 1. Will there be a send from Khaus round the outside? Bit bold. Can he make it stick? He can. What a move by Nicholas Latifi himself. Khaus gets up to P2 with a spectacular move round the outside.
Beautiful move indeed there from Nicholas Latifi. And you don't make moves around Tamburello too often, but that was some really good car control. Really nice stability. And he holds on very, very nicely. Very well done there. But now it's not over yet. You still got another half of the race left to go here. So you still got a lot of fighting to do. As it is going to be Team D Legend trying to close in the gap. He wants to retake, but he is on older tires. So might be a task a bit easier said than done. But TNT though really has used that slipstream to really close in the gap. And he's going to try to get it through Ravazza and then try to make the run down into turn 1. Into that Tamburello corner. And we'll see if TMT is going to hit him with the return to sender. See if he can get a legendary retake here. Not close enough. Too much real estate in between them. I mean, Nicholas didn't even have to shut the door there. So Khaus doing a very good job to hold on to that position here. The fight is still going to continue on for the final 2 spots at the podium. But while these two are scrapping it out, you know, fighting each other like it's Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson, or well, I was going to say Mike Tyson versus Logan Paul, but this is actually a good boxing match, comparatively. But Dilby,
I like
he's
it.
checking out.
Yeah, he's gapped Nicholas Latifi. With them battling, he's gapped him by 3.7 seconds. It's still going up as we speak. 3.94 seconds. But if I was TMT Legend, I would sit behind him, not battle him, because he knows he's got a 3-second time penalty to get added to his total race time at the end. So what TMT Legend is going to do is pretty smart. Sit behind him, and then when it comes to the end of the race, he's going to try and get below that 3 seconds, as he is now, to jump him at the final race results time.
I still think there's going to be no stop for all those drivers, though, too, because I think a majority of the field, we'll take a look at tires again. Probably have this tire graphic burned into my brain. I'll see it in my sleep when I go back to bed later on after the race. But I think that they're going to have to make another pit stop. I think at least the majority of the field would. Somebody might be able to make a one-stop stick, but I think, especially because like you got TMT who pitted in super early. He pitted in about like lap 7, I think. Lap between like no, not lap 5. That was when Noah's AI decided he wanted to pit, but I think somewhere, I'm trying to remember, between like lap 7 or 9 is when we saw TMT pit. So he's on a bit of an older tire. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take a suggestion from chat and actually do math. So it was about lap 9, lap 8 or 9 is when we saw TMT pit. So I think he will have to make at least one more stop in the race, like probably a good chunk of the field will. So he'll probably jump onto another set of hards. I don't really see TMT really jumping onto another set of mediums, but it's very well possible. I mean, now at this point, at this stage of the race, we've kind of hit that, I don't want to say mid-race slump, but we've kind of hit the management period. It gets really spicy up at the beginning, and then kind of mellows out a bit in the middle, and then after that, it just kind of spikes up right at the end as things get really, really intense. Nobody really in DRS at the moment, so it'll be it'll be probably like this until we start seeing some pit stops come around once again. So right now we are pretty much well within that management stage of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, no, definitely. As the only close battle here is Crowjag v Uncle Morty. As Uncle Morty's trying to get within that 1 second range of the DRS. Looking to get it through this chicane here, gain heaps of time, get a better exit than Crowjag. Uncle Morty on fresher tyres than Crowjag. 2 laps the difference of the tyre difference right here between Crowjag and Uncle Morty. As Uncle Morty is in that DRS, he is gaining massively 6/10, especially with the DRS. He could get him down into turn 1, but will he gain enough? As you see, going down into turn 1, Uncle Morty looking to jump Crowjag. Can he do it into turn 1? Answer is going to be a no. He's going to wait until next time around. But this is the only battle that's currently brewing on the racetrack. But like you said earlier on, this is the management period. This is when everyone goes into quiet mode, trying to manage the tyres until the end. But if someone does pull off a 1 stop, well done to them. Because you survived 32 laps of trying to make that 1 stop work, and you have done it. So we'll keep an eye on this Crowjag Uncle Morty battle.
Now, I know we have a 100% race coming up, but I know sometimes in the 100% races you can really make a generational stint, as Bobby gets a 3-second time penalty for track limit infringements. I know you can get some really insane tire life out of the full distance races, because for those of you who don't know, the tire life does slightly skew, just depending on how long your race is. So you have less tire wear in a 100% Grand Prix compared to like what we run in the reserve program with like a 35% race, or like what we run in normal rush regulation and pretty much like the league racing standard of the 50% races. Even then, the 50 and the 35 will have differences. That's going to be a bit of an attempt from Uncle Morty, who has actually been really on the pace here in the last couple of laps. He's already dropped TMT, who's in the pits. But now Uncle Morty up in a P3. Very aggressive dive up the inside of Tom Borello. And he gets that move done and dusted. I think we're about to see Uncle Morty just go ahead and just put a hard charge through the field. Really strong results recently, and he's looking to keep it up with another podium pretty much on the cards.
Yes, Uncle Morty, but here's the thing, he does have that penalty for track limits. So, Crowjag, as we have a yellow flag, and that's going slowly through that first sector. It's Woofer, I don't know what happened to him, but as we focus back onto Uncle Morty, he has that penalty, so Crowjag looking to benefit off of that. But as we saw, Tim T Legend coming in for that second set of hards, he might be trying to undercut Nicholas Latifi. When he pitted, that gap was 3.3 seconds. He needs to gain over 1 second a lap to be able to see if he can get that beneficiary on the undercut. So look out for TMT Legend going for the undercut on Nicholas and potentially Dilby. But I don't reckon we're going to see Dilby in anytime soon.
Yeah, that's pretty likely to see that here as we get ready for the final 10 laps, as there's going to be Team the Legend roaring around the outside of VSC Paul and Hell, and that is going to be P6 for the championship leader. It's been a tough couple of races for TMT Legend. He did get a podium in Mexico last week, but just outside of the podium in Qatar, Hungary was also another podium, but he's losing a good amount of points despite these solid results. I mean, he's just losing quite a few points. He hasn't won a race here this season since round 6 in Las Vegas. We are currently in round 12, so it's been a while since TMT has actually even won a Grand Prix here. I mean, he had a really good start this season. He won in Australia, so he won the first 100% Grand Prix. And I mean, TMT, he has built up such a repertoire points from the early stages. He won the opening race at Monza, a flawless week at Bahrain, Australia, and then Vegas. But then he's just been in a slump in terms of where he started the season at. I mean, that's still a pretty solid, still pretty solid report. But yeah, he's just kind of bleedy points here. But I mean, all those points he gained early on, pretty beneficial as we enter the final 10 laps.
Yes, especially if you're the championship leader, looking to grab all the points that you can going in to the final 5 races, is it? 5? 5? Is it 5 races? I think so. But as Kojak gets another 3-second penalty, now Uncle Morty and Kojak can go to battle because they're both equal on penalties, if I'm correct. Yes, they are. Both equals on penalties. So they can go to battle. So expect a water blowout between Uncle Morty and Kojak as we enter the final 9 laps. Bit of a lock-up for Kojak, as we saw. But Uncle Morty looking to gain with the ERS and DRS. Speaking of DRS, it's gone in real life. RIP DRS. But if we focus on Uncle Morty, is he going to go down for the dive into the first corner? No. He's going to wait another lap.
You mean to tell me you don't like the mom system of the 2026 regs?
I mean, if you did watch Japan, the super clipping killed Oliver Behrman. So
I'm just giving you a hard time. I know the 2026 regulations are a pretty hot topic. Now, here's a take that I have about the 2026 regulations that I don't think is exactly a hot take. It might be a bit of a lukewarm take at best. But I do like the regulations on the side of aerodynamics and chassis. I think the body of the car is pretty neat. The active aero, the straight mode, I think that stuff has worked pretty well. However, the power unit side of
I
things,
gotta agree with you there.
That's where all the issues come from. At least in my humble opinion, feel free to get amongst it in the chat and let us know about your opinions on the 2026 regulations and how do you think that they are doing. I mean, yeah, definitely the super
Uncle
clipping.
Morty.
Super clipping was definitely an issue. I'll be curious to see how it translates because I know there's a good amount of leagues that are actually kind of on hold for the DLC that comes out in June, the 2026 DLC. So I'll be really curious.
Have they finally
to
confirmed
see.
the date? Have they finally confirmed the date for the DLC to drop?
I want to say it's about June 4th. I don't think it hasn't been officially confirmed, but that's kind of like what leaks and rumors have kind of led us to believe. But to answer, okay, so we've actually been given a comms Q&A. So I'll let you answer this one first, as we do have Sorokin and Woofa. Oh, Woofa's actually falling way down the order because he's in the pits. That's why, and it just didn't let me know. But in the meantime, do you think the FIA is going to change the engine rules within these 2 years? I'll let you answer that one first before I give my opinion.
Oof. Good question, Mars. I reckon if people put in reports or like people put in, like if they listen to the community, right? It might be potentially yes, but the community is gonna have to push hard and see if the FIA will listen to them. But I reckon. Good. That's actually a good question. I have to go with a no, unfortunately, on this part. They're not gonna change the engine regs. Actually, let me change my answer. Yes, because it's super clipping. Especially with the super clipping. If super clipping gets too bad to the point where it's dangerous, as you see Uncle Morty run a bit wide, if the super clipping gets dangerous, then yes, they're gonna change the engine regulations.
Okay, so here's my opinion on it. As we did see TMC get past Izzy there, P4, P5 on the road. Here's what I think. I think we're going to see, I don't think we're going to see a massive overhaul until that 2031 when it is rumored that we're getting the turbocharged V8s with no hybrid system. That's what, I mean, at least that's what the common like front runner is for the engines for the next set of regs. But with that being said, I do think we're going to see some marginal changes to address the super clipping, and it might not even be in the actual hardware of the component, the actual hardware, like the battery and engine itself. I think they may stay the same. However, like the kind of the self-learning system that the 2026 cars have on them to activate deployment and such, I think that's probably going to get a pretty massive rework. So it might even just be purely on the software side of things on the inside of the cars that's going to get the change. That's just my take personally. I've seen a few different articles about it. How it might be more software, like even Mercedes dominance might be more software related versus like actual hardware. Now, granted, they do have the best engines on the grid, and they have since pretty much the 2014 season when the hybrids were first introduced into F1. But with that being said, I think the big software management is going to be the big key thing. But in other news, we are 5 laps to go here in the Grand Prix. So we are in the closing stages of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And I think the racing could get pretty spicy, as down here towards the back of the field, we do have a battle here between Bobby and Noah. This one should be very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yes, it should be very interesting. As you see, Noah 14 laps on those hard compound tires. Bobby is only 6. So I reckon Noah's going to have a bit of difficulty trying to catch that Sauber of Bobby, who's only lap 6 on those hard tires. But if he gets a good run out of this chicane, it's a possibility. As Bobby goes a bit wide, as I say that, commentator's curse. But Noah is in that DRS. Is he going to go for the lunge? No, he's going to wait until the DRS zone, which is pretty smart. I would have gone for the lunge, but that's me. As he's going to turn that battery back on. He's going to get that DRS wide open is Noah. He's going to look to gate on Bobby. Bobby's who's out of ERS. That should be an easy done deal move for Noah, and it is. He moves himself up to P12. Well done, Noah.
They grew up so fast. My boy's already all grown up, giving his first commentator's curses out in Rush. I know it took you one race, so congrats on that milestone, but all jokes aside.
Let's go. My first commentator's curse. I'll take it. I'm putting that on the wall.
First of many. Just wait till you get to my stage where you can commentator curse an entire lobby by 3 red flags. That was Austria on my 2nd season of Rush, I think. Crazy to think I'm on my 3rd and a half season of Rush. That's insane. Time really flies when you're having fun, as Dilby is definitely having fun out front. Once his connection kind of sorted itself out, he was able to do pretty much what Khaus was able to do earlier on, and just kind of check out and just leave everybody else just kind of fighting for the scraps. So, safety car window. I mean, I don't think a safety car is going to come into play. Everybody's too far apart. It was mentioned in the chat that the safety car window is closing at the end of the next lap, as we are 3 laps to go from the end of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, as Uncle Morty is going to try. He's going to try to close in the gap. Those 3 are equal on pens, but if they're not careful, Uncle Morty might be able to try to come up to P4. He is dialing in some pretty good laps, though. We'll actually go on board with him. Nobody requested it, but we're going to do it on board with the current championship leader, as he's making his way down into Aquamineral, or a bit early for Aquamineral. I had to get to Tamburello, pardon me. I got my quarter names wrong, as he's going to go through. He's going to try to see if he can close in that gap to get within 3 seconds, because if he gets 3 seconds, he will be able to jump Uncle Morty for that P4 position. And he's going to try to make the run down into Acqua Minerale, leading up to Acqua Minerale here. And now he's actually in Acqua Minerale, going through. Nicely done, coming through these two corners. The gap is closing, but not enough. I don't think he's going to be able to get it. It's going to be very tight, very close, but yeah, he's just not making up enough time. It is now the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. And yeah, he's actually losing time to Okomori, so yeah, I don't think TFT's got it. I'll pass it to you, Daniel, for the penultimate lap, and I'll take the final. Over to you.
Copy that. As we see TMT trying to close that gap. He is gaining a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. Uncle Morty, who has done 18 laps on those hards, TMT only 10. So the advantage is definitely in TMT's court, as he is only 1 second away from that gap being below 3 seconds. Bit of a wiggle through there. He lost a tenth through there, so that's going to be very bad, as Bobby gets another 3 second penalty to add to his race time at the end. So let's see if TMT can get the gap down. Meanwhile, out front, Dilby is looking very dominant. He's doing what Nicholas Latifi did in the sprint as he works on to the final lap of the race. Rekus, I'll hand it back to you for the final lap, mate.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Now we're going to go ahead and go for it. Final lap of the Grand Prix here. Final lap of the final sprint weekend in Rush Season 10. As now it is going to be a run through. He does have some lapped traffic up ahead, but it's going to be of no concern. The Lion does not concern himself with lapped traffic as he approaches the sister car of that Visa Cash Out Racing Bull of the Risen. And he's going to try to... I mean, he's got basically about 12 seconds of a gap when you add the penalties on top of it. So, I mean, Dilby really has... He just needs to bring the car home, and then he's going to get a win here this season. So he's just got to make his way through, coming through the Grissini chicane. And we'll see if he can hold on. I think that is almost an overwhelming yes. It'll be Dilby's first win in, I think it might be the first win of the season here. Correction, it'll be the second win of the season for him. He's coming through Ravazza now. And for the second time this season, Dilby wins a Rush Grand Prix. He wins in Imola. He takes a very, very dominant win here. Noah crosses the line, Bobby crosses the line, Nicholas crosses the line, and that is going to be P2. Even though it wasn't quite the win that he would have wanted, it is still a very solid weekend there for Khaus. Krojak, P3, TMT Legend does get P4 at the end. So just...
Yeah, you should have saw the gap. 2.5 crossing the line. So he gained over 2 seconds on that last lap. Well done to him.
Yeah, just at the final moments, he does get that overtake done, dusted, and delivered up in a P4 for TMT. Still no win yet, so he's still trying to hunt that first win in quite some time. So he's still trying to fight for it, but still good amount of rounds left to go. But that championship gap is whittling down bit by bit. So. And, I mean, luckily for him, the two Alpines had a bit of a rough time tonight. So, he'll gain on both of the Alpines, so his championship lead will extend. But Khaus is really just trying to knock at that door for the championship. But, still got a couple of rounds left to go. And it is going to be Dilby who wins here in Imola. As we're going to go through the celebration, and we're going to go ahead and get our podium sitters in just for a very quick chat. The champagne will spray. The trophies are given. A very well-driven race to Khaus. and to everybody else on the podium, to Khaus, and not quite TMT, but to Khaus, to Crojack, and of course our race winner of Dilby. Very well done there. As the champagne sprays, we're going to go through our superlatives here. Driver of the day is TMT Legend. Fastest lap also goes to the championship leader. Race winner is Dilby. Woofo getting the most overtakes and being the cleanest driver. So we're going to go ahead and talk about our results real quick here in the Grand Prix. Dilby wins ahead of Nicholas Latifi, aka Khaus, that is Krojag, TMT Legend, Uncle Morty, Izzy Fizzy, Paul and Hell, Sorokin, Woofa, Shining Swarm, The Risen, Noah, Bobby, and Romy One Kenobi rounding out the field here tonight. So, without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and get our interviews rolling here soon. But before then, Daniel, how was your first race with Rush?
Commentating Rush, mate, fantastic. Had a ton of fun. Just want to give a special shout out to SJ, the owner of this league, for giving me this opportunity. Shout out to you, mate. And pretty fun. Pretty fun.
And I know we will see you again on Thursday for the reserve program. You and I will be covering that for Azerbaijan. And that should be a fun one. Baku it's a really good track. I enjoy it. I like Baku quite a bit. I have seen some crazy shenanigans at Baku, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get rolling with our interviews. We'll see who do we got. We currently have, well, we got everybody, so we're going to go ahead and start it off with, let's see, who do we go with first? Decisions.
I reckon we'll go P3 to P1. Thoughts?
I think that works, but I believe we have Mars actually in place of the Mercedes. Or no, which one of you guys is here for Mercedes? It's either Nishka or Mars.
Yeah, me. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, Crowley's not feeling too well. So he's done a massive effort to get P3. But yeah, I'll take you two for him.
We'll go ahead and start with you then, Nishka. So your driver had honestly a terrible sprint. It just did not go to plan, but he definitely made up for it in the Grand Prix. So overall, how would you say his week was here for Div5?
Obviously didn't get off to the greatest of starts with the sprint. Obviously had his little moment there at turn one, but then when he tries to recover, then had another incident with the driver. Probably that'll end up in a ticket, but we'll have to just wait and see with that one. But for that to happen in the sprint and then him to bounce back the way he did after, like I said, he was really unwell today. Probably shouldn't have even raced tonight, and to bounce back and put it on the podium, I think all the Merc boys are pretty proud of him tonight.
I mean, especially driving around Imola is a tough task anyway, but when you're under the weather, it's just so rough. How is the energy in the Mercedes garage going into Azerbaijan next week?
Pretty good. We had a pretty decent week last week. I think looking ahead to Baku, I think some of the boys they really like Baku, so I expect we'll put some practice in this week, and sure we'll see a strong showing from a lot of the boys again.
All right, and anyone you want to give a special thanks or shout out to before I pass you over to Daniel?
Oh, no, just Crowy, massive effort tonight. Obviously, Brian as well. He helps every week with setups, strategies, all that stuff. Come together as a collective at Merc, and but mainly big thanks to Crowy, still turning up after being under the weather all day and getting P3, massive points for us, and pretty much that's it, man.
All right, well, congratulations on behalf of Crowjag, and I'll pass you over to Daniel if he's got any questions.
Right, I'm not very good with stand-up interviews, but it's not very good sprint race by Crowjag. Unfortunate DNF with that costly contact, mistake, one of the two. But is he looking to bounce back in Baku? They're actually kind of round. Bounce back in Baku for next week, Div5. Is he looking to try and get the win?
I definitely think he'll be there. I know he's got some serious pace around Baku, so I expect him to be well and truly fighting up near the front, and hopefully he'll be feeling better next week too, a bit more himself, and yeah, I definitely think Hughes will be seeing him up near the front next week.
Right, congratulations to Crowjag on behalf of you, I guess. Hope he feels better soon. But overall, congratulations on P3? Yeah, it was P3. Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. And cheers for the comps. Well done again tonight.
All right, we're going to actually go ahead and jump over. We're going to actually jump off the podium for a quick second. And just go ahead and get a quick word from our driver of the day in TMT Legend. So TMT, it hasn't been the easiest last couple of rounds for you, but are you proud of your performance here tonight at Imola?
I'm actually not sure. I had a almost flawless run through. I went aggressive on the strategy, kind of hoping that others would, and no one did. So then I kind of stuffed myself over. But I think had I not picked second time, I don't think I would have finished fourth. Crow and Morty were catching me before I made my second stop, as it was, with my tires being about 5 laps older or something like that. So it was always going to be the better option in a sense to go for the extra pit stop, knowing that at least if I could drag a fastest lap out of it, which I did, then finishing P5 with that would be, one extra point on what I would have had if I had just finished P5. But I don't know, it's a track I like, but I think I've finished on the podium once other than the sprint race. I think I finished third in season, let me think about this, season 5. But actually, no, I finished second in season 5. But otherwise it was pretty standard race, other than the 10-lap super sprint at the end, I suppose. P2 to P2 in the sprint, P4 to P4 in the race, just with a few extra steps along the way. So nothing to really complain about. Just got to iron out strategies a bit better.
It is going to be Azerbaijan next week. It's a very different track, but it's also kind of similar in terms of the fact that it is a narrow track where, instead of track with limits, there's pretty much walls. I'll end your race in a heartbeat. So how do you crew go get a Baku next week?
I could not be more excited. It is arguably my best track. Both from a consistency standpoint and results standpoint. I think the only track that rivals it's Monza, and we saw what happened in Monza. So look, I'm hoping that this season I can make Monza my third win with its third win in Rush, and I'm hoping that I can turn around and get my third Rush Baku win as well, because that would be nice.
Indeed, yeah. So we are getting close to the end of the season. Anybody you want to give a final thanks or shout out to before we let you go?
Race engineer, because gave me a lot of extra motivation in that last stint, because I had no idea Crew had a 3 second because I couldn't see it on my little dash. So thank you very much to them. All the guys that I raced, I had some awesome scraps with about half the grid today. Had a good battle with Crow, had a good battle with Sirotkin, had a good battle with Khaus, had a good battle with Delby, had a good battle with Morty. So it was good racing from everyone. Had a lot of fun with that. All clean battles too, fortunately enough for me. So looking forward to next week.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations on driving today, and we'll see if you can take it to win next week. But before you go, I'm going to pass you over to Daniel if he's got any other questions or comments.
Well, yeah, congratulations on Driver of the Day, TMT. Got a couple of questions. One, with your
Yep.
second stop coming to the last couple of laps, if there were 10 more laps or 15 more laps of this Grand Prix, do you think you would have caught and passed Uncle Morty and Crowjag potentially? Or would you just sit behind them and just take the positions off track because of the penalties?
It depends on how many laps there were. I think I dragged 2 seconds back on Morty on the last lap. And so I finished 2 seconds behind him. So I would have been pretty much on the tail end of him had we done one more. When I finished 1 second with track limits penalties applied behind Crow. So one more lap and I probably would have snuck away with P3. But, if it was 10, 15 more laps, like 10 more laps, I think everyone else probably would have had to stop again just because of tire degradation. But 15, I probably would have stopped again. But no, it was, I think 2 more laps, I definitely would have got third just off the tire deg. One more, it would have been pretty close. But I've just got this eternal streak at the moment, stuck finishing P4 with fastest lap. It's the 3rd week running I've done it. So hopefully next week I can change that.
Yeah, well done on P4 and Driver of the Day. You were so close, but yet so far. Congratulations, and see you next week for Baku.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to jump back on to the podium. We're going to talk with Goatifi himself, Khaus. Now, Khaus, you also won the sprint race earlier very comfortably as well. You had about a 7-second gap, I think. Overall, how would you rate your weekend?
Yeah. Look, objectively, I'm not gonna lie, Rekus. I'm really disappointed in my performance in the Grand Prix. Not to take anything away from Durr, but I could not get anywhere near him. But yeah, overall my weekend was good. Of course, got the win in the sprint, and I felt really comfortable in the sprint. But yeah, when it got to the race, I don't know. Durr just had jet engines strapped to the back of that Red Bull, man. I could not get anywhere near him. So props to Durr. He absolutely put in a fantastic performance, and he deserves the win. But yeah, another P2 for the P2 merchant.
Well, it is helping you kind of close in on those championship standings bit by bit. He's still got a couple of rounds left to go before the season ends. Heading to Azerbaijan next week for the Baku Street Circuit. How do you feel going into the Land of Fire?
I love that track. That is hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, my favorite track on the grid. I have so much fun on that track. It's so specific to what I enjoy and what the types of turns that I feel like I flourish in. Even that castle section, so technical, so difficult. I love that track. So can't wait for next week. But yeah, disappointing. Not I can't say disappointing because it's a P2 and a P1. But yeah, I feel like it's points dropped in the championship for me again.
And I mean, especially because it's a tough gap to really close because TMT had such a strong start to the season, pretty much winning the opening 3. I think it's he won 4 out of the opening 5 rounds of the season, but he hasn't won since Vegas. But I know getting that P1 would have really tried to help you close in that gap. But without any further questions from me, I'll pass you over to Daniel, and congrats on the P2 and the sprint win.
Thanks, Rekus. Appreciate it.
Yeah, congrats on the sprint win, Mr. Nicholas Latifi himself, by the way. Well, first of all, what a move. What lap was it on? You went around the outside of a person. I forgot who it was.
TMT, I think it was.
But, yeah, what a move, by the way. But do you think just maybe, just a teeny weeny bit maybe, you would have caught Dilby if there was 10 more laps?
No chance. I wasn't catching Dilby. It was too quick. My only opportunity was and I said this to my engineer Dita. I said my only opportunity to really catch Div5 was the beginning phase of the hards. We were discussing maybe if I should do an undercut to maybe try to close that gap a little bit more because he was so quick. But yeah, that was really my opportunity, right? And then of course after I went into the pits and I came out and I got that penalty, I knew it was over. As soon as I got that penalty, I knew in the back of my mind like Dilby had the pace. For me to get past him and to make up that 3 seconds would have been astronomical. And I saw that he was not dropping back from me. If anything, he was pulling away and ended up with, I think it was like an 8 second gap at the end of the race. So, yeah, the no matter how many laps he would have given me, no matter how many scenarios, the only thing that could have happened is if I undercut him and gave me a safety car. That's the only situation in which I maybe have a chance to win the race.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate there. But congratulations on the sprint win. But you come up just tiny bit short, only 9.1 seconds. But congratulations on the sprint win, and we'll see you next week for Baku.
Thanks,
Tight
Daniel. I
street
appreciate it. Yeah, it's going to be unreal. I have to have a crash out real quick. All the people in Div5 talking about I need to get moved up, this, that, rah. I haven't won a race in how long? And there's been multiple different drivers that have won races. So does that mean that every driver that has won a race above me in the last few rounds means they're going to get moved up too? I think it's just a bit bizarre. But anyway, that's all I got to say. Shout out to Dito once again. Sorokin drove well, and all the Williams boys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right. Without any further ado, we just have one more interview to go. A driver who is actually, funny enough, in the same category as Krojag in terms of having a rough sprint, but a fantastic Grand Prix. We have Dilby, aka Durr. Now, your sprint did not go remotely according to plan, Durr, but you made it for it in the Grand Prix. Overall, how would you rate your week?
Up and down, up and down. Practice early in the week went well, then practice towards the end of the week, I just couldn't seem to get it right. And then qualifying for the sprint, it was wet. I went out on an out lap and then turned around and went straight back and put the softs on, and wasn't happy with that, but it was still a decent run. Then the sprint, yeah, just had a few things that didn't go my way and a couple of incidents, and then I binned it and put it in the wall, so that wasn't ideal. And I just went, settle down, and I'll get myself ready for the race. So really happy with how the race went as well. So yeah, set pole and then managed to just hold that lead. Lots of ups and downs, but very happy in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like a lot of people actually had a really up and down week here at Imola. I mean, your fellow podium sitter Krojak pretty much had the exact same thing, just had a bit of a rough go at it in the sprint and then turned around to snag a podium, in your case a win. Do you think you'll be able to have another strong performance in Baku next week?
If I can keep my mind on it, then yeah, absolutely love the track. It is my favourite track, no doubt about it. Absolutely love it. It was the first ever track that I ever raced wheel on, so yeah, absolutely favourite track.
You picked a heck of a track to do your first race on a wheel on. It's a tough track. I love it too, don't get me wrong. I love it. It's probably my favorite street circuit, I would say, aside from maybe... Oh, that's a tough one. I do like Albert Park, but other than that, it's definitely a top, at least a bare minimum, a top 3 street circuit of all time. But yeah, anybody you want to give a special thanks or a shout out to before I pass you over to Daniel?
I'd like to give a thank you to the team, getting around me, and a very big thank you to my engineer Mars. We had it a bit rough. I haven't been doing data with him, unfortunately, so a lot of it was just what he could do off the stream and what he could do off the numbers I gave him. So, got to give a massive thank you for his work, helping me out there and getting me to another win, and just thank you to the whole team for getting around me. And another big thank you for Fat Cat for the setup. Absolutely great setup as well.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations on the win, and I'll pass you over to Daniel if he's got any other questions or comments.
Yes, I do have one question. What the heck, mate? From being absolutely laggy to having an absolute rocket ship, what did you do to that Red Bull car to make it like a rocket ship?
Probably more than anything, it was realistically the setup. The sprint just didn't go how it planned, and I resolved that issue. I worked out what it was in between, and yeah, it was just the setup, getting it right. I knew I was quick in the sprint, but yeah, it just had some unfortunate things happen. Crowe started his spin, and I had to avoid that. That cost me a fair bit of time, and then I got hit off track, and then I spun myself out shortly after that. So, but I knew I had the pace then, and then in the race just held it out, kept the gap out to Khaus, and made sure I got out of that DRS as soon as I could for him. And then from there, it was just keeping it straight, not getting a penalty, because I got 2 warnings very, very early on into that race, and probably did the back 3/4 of that race just focusing on not getting myself a penalty.
Yeah, I had another question. Well, it's gone now, but congratulations on the race win. Actually, no, now I got it. Do you think if you didn't have that mistake and that crash with Crowe, do you think you would have won the sprint race?
I don't know whether I would have won it. I definitely think I was on for a podium. I do think I could have got TMT in that as well, possibly got P2, but it did seem like Khaus had a decent enough lead in that sprint to stay out, which I was quite concerned about coming into the race, but managed to set pole and then just stick it out the front for the rest of the race again.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate in that sprint race, but do you think you will get the race win and go back to back in Div5 next week around the tight streets of Baku?
It's never off the cards. I'd love to. Whether it happens or not, we'll have to wait and see, but I'd really like to think that I can, but time will tell.
Yeah, congratulations on the P1 finish. Massive points for the team in the constructor standings. Well done, and go celebrate this one, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Alrighty, that's going to go ahead and wrap things up here in round number 12. And it's been a fun time here at Imola. Small grid, but still plenty of action to go around. There are no more sprints this season. This was the last sprint round of the season, but we still have one more rodeo here at Imola. It'll be Div 3 tomorrow. And after that, we are officially done with sprint races here for Season 10 of Rush Racing League. And then we turn our sights to the Land of Fire in Baku. But before we go, Daniel, do you have any final thoughts before we sunset the stream here?
Oh, final thoughts. First of all, let's focus on the sprint. Chaos off the start on lap 1 with Crowe and Dilby having to unfortunately retire, and then Dilby going on for the race or win. Absolutely blew my mind. Did not think that would happen, but he managed to do it. So my final thoughts are Red Bull are quick again. So, and Crowe P3 as well. So well done to the podium finishers as well.
Yeah, so it was a very well-driven race, and I mean, just kind of a good mental comeback for those drivers because it's so easy to get in your own head after a tough result like that. But we're gonna go ahead and just sunset the stream here. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in and dealing with some of the early tech issues that we had in the opening stages. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us throughout. I want to give a special thank you to our sponsors, Sim Racing Center, SimLab, and Pagdian Advanced Simulation. I want to thank those guys all for the best for all the awesome support they've given us. I also do want to wish Crow Drag a get well soon. I mean, still a heck of a drive, especially being under the weather. But on behalf of Daniel, my name is Patrick Coleman, aka Rekus, and we have been your hosts and commentators for the final sprint of Div 5. Tune in tomorrow when we do it all again for Div 3. And then the following Thursday, as we do the reserve program, it'll be Daniel and I again for the reserve program going through Azerbaijan. Stay hydrated, and we will see you guys next time. Have a good night.